Hey, so I might start on a couple things. We have a few people here. Today I'm going to talk about baby-led weaning, but I'm also going to talk about the products we love, and especially for our Aussie followers, Sleep Tight Babies Australia her name is Michelle. She's amazing. She is a distributor of baby products, and I've used her products since we started baby-led weaning, and I wanted to share a few of our favourite baby-led weaning products, and then I'm going to answer a few questions about baby-led weaning, and feel free to ask questions along the way, and I'll try my best to answer them. Hi. Excellent. So to get started, I suppose I want to talk about our favourite products. Our favourite products for baby-led weaning is definitely the suction plate by Easy Tots, but Sleep Tight Babies Australia is offering a discount at the moment. 10% off these wonderful suction plates. They're so good for baby-led weaning because they stick on the high chair tray, and the suction is amazing. Like, babies can't really pull them off, and they're amazing. It's made from silicone, so it's really safe for babies to eat. So I'll definitely recommend to get these products for baby-led weaning. This is the mini one, so it folds up and you can put a lid on it and pre-pack it and put food in it and take it to restaurants, which we found was so helpful. When we've been away, like on holidays with the kids, we bring these and it goes on the table, it goes on high chair trays, and yeah, it's absolutely amazing, these products. And I had a question the other day about cutlery. Did we start with cutlery from 6 months old? So for, Ava and Lewis, my kids, we started baby-led weaning at 6 months old, and cutlery is a bit tricky at 6 months old, so we offered preloaded spoons and forks. This is Sleep Tight Babies Australia also distribute these products. It's by Doddle, hope I'm saying that right. They're offering 10% off these cutlery set, and these are so good. They're like, you can preload the spoon at 6 months old, put it on the baby's high chair tray, and try and obviously baby-led weaning is about taking control of their food, so they can pick it up and put it in their mouth. And also forks are really good as well. I found forks a lot easier than spoons with my kids because it's more of a stabbing motion, where spoons are so much harder because they have to learn to scoop and put it in their mouth. So I would probably say, 6 months you can start to introduce preloaded forks and spoons, but I reckon around 12 months old is when babies start to understand to use these and use them a lot better. So these are my recommendations for cutlery. After this live, I'm going to do a post, and I'll put links there for Sleep Tight Babies Australia and their discount code and everything. So head over there. So they're doing an awesome 10% discount for Christmas coming up. The code is BLWI Xmas. So baby-led weaning ideas Xmas, but BLWI Xmas, 10% off all their meal range, suction plate, everything. Also, this is the full-length bib, which I totally recommend. Hands up who's used a full-length bib. Definitely with baby-led weaning gets so messy sometimes, especially spaghetti bolognese. These are so good, and they just help check all the clothes. Also prevents food from dropping onto the floor. So this is also 10% off. Head over to Sleep Tight Babies Australia website and use BLWI Xmas with 10% off at checkout. Cool. So they're a few of our products we absolutely love. I'll answer a few questions about baby-led weaning. I've got a couple first, and then feel free to ask any questions. Remember, I'm not a doctor. I'm a mum who's baby-led weaned 100% both our kids, and I have a passion in this area. I've spoken to so many parents over, I reckon, about 3 years or 4 years, I've had my Instagram account about picky eaters, baby-led weaning questions about gagging, when do you start baby-led weaning? So I'm more than happy to share my experience with baby-led weaning. So first question I'm going to cover was Angelica sent me a question: what to do with a baby-led weaner who is picky? So, okay, it depends, I suppose, Angela, how old your baby-led weaner is, because to use the word picky is, I don't like using that word, number one, or fussy eater, because when you start saying those words, you sort of start to convince yourself that your baby is becoming picky or fussy, and we don't like to use those negative sort of words around even babies. They're quite clever at that age, and they can pick up sort of anxiety from mum or dad about their eating. So I suppose keep in mind, first year of baby-led weaning, first year of life of a baby is making sure that their primary nutrition in the first year is breast or bottle milk. So as we start baby-led weaning, introducing solids around 6 months old, that's when my motto, I suppose, from day one has been, I supply, you decide. So it's giving all control to the baby from 6 months old. So avoiding all briberies, no aeroplanes, no spoon feeding. It's all control from day one. A lot about baby-led weaning is play. So I also had another question from Chelsea saying that my daughter just plays with her food and she's 8 months old and she's really picky. That was one of her questions. And it was just, at 8 months old, they're still learning. So it's like learning how to crawl, talk, or walk. So you've got to give it time. We can't start making these assumptions that our kids or babies picky at 8 months old. So it's all you can do as a parent is supply the food, offer healthy foods, avoid briberies, try and eat together as a family as well. Try and eat the same meal. So that's the beauty about baby-led weaning. You can eat from 6 months old family foods, spaghetti bolognese, curries, fritters, muffins. So what we want to do in our cooking though as parents is avoid salts. So if you want to add your salt on mum or dad after you've made the meal, that's great. And so avoid salts, sugars, processed sort of foods. So that's why we like to learn how to cook from day one and share those family foods. So as Angela said, her question was what to do if I've got a baby-led weaner who's picky. I suppose it's just don't make any fuss at meal times, offer variety. Don't just offer the same things because you think baby loves them. Always offer a variety. Even if that baby rejects that food, still offer it. Maybe just give it a week break. Say, for an example, broccoli. If baby picks it up and just throws it on the ground, that doesn't mean that baby's picky or fussy. It just means at that point in time, he or she just wanted to play with the food. I know it can get a tiny bit messy. That's the beauty of these products. Just give it time, and play is so important in learning about food and discovering food and textures. So from day one, from 6 months old, babies will play with their food. They will feel it, they will feel the textures, they will squeeze it, and it will drive us mad. But remember, it is all learning. Remember, they're not doing it to annoy you as a parent. They're not doing it to aggravate you. Throwing food especially, that's also part of learning. It might seem really, really annoying for us parents, but it is part of the experience and learning about textures. So what would I do if you think you have a picky baby-led weaner? Number one, try not to use those words around baby-led weaner, or even think about that. Think about it as a fuss-free environment. Avoid distractions. Don't sit baby in front of the TV, because that's definitely going to encourage different behaviour and they won't be able to focus on their food. Let them play with their food. If baby's not hungry and doesn't want dinner, accept it, clean up and move on. So make it a relaxed environment, calm environment. Talk about your day. I know babies can't really talk at 6 months, but they get it. Sit at a family meal all together and just enjoy family discussion and talk about your day, talk to your husband or wife about what's happening. Try not to focus on food, like, Tommy, why aren't you eating your broccoli? Or, Sarah, why, I know encouraging, like, oh, good girl, Sarah, you just ate a piece of soft pear. Like, I know that's great, but it's just, no one is staring at our food and telling us, encourage us, saying, well done, like having a cheer squad. I know we're trying to be really positive about eating, but let's just make it from day one. Baby-led weaning is about their control. It's no real big deal. It's introducing solids and just creating a relaxed environment. Sorry, that was a really long answer, but so they're personally from my tips. I'll just answer this question from Kate Jackson. How do you know if baby has finished eating? From, I reckon, 6 months to 12 months, babies finish when they start to throw food and they start to get really, I remember Lewis used to get, and like start to like, I want to get out of this chair, those signals. That's when common sense, mum and dad know, they just have a feeling, like if they have been sitting in the high chair for quite a while, even if they've been in the high chair for I remember Lewis would get in the high chair 1 minute and I would tell he's just not interested at all. I know, okay, move on, let's save that, pack it up, even if it's in one of these easy mats, put the lid on, put the food back in the fridge, save it for later. Make sure baby's well rested, has had their sleep, has had their milk feed, before food, so they're, it is all about play in the first year. And I hope that has answered your question. So when babies finish, they just start to get agitated, and when they start to get a bit older, I found baby sign language really good. So we used to say done. So from day one, Lewis and Ava would be like, are you finished? Are you done? You done? So Lewis would start to do this when he couldn't speak. So I would know after a while. So Google baby sign language. That's really good for stuff like that. Hope that answers your questions. I've got another one from Lynn. Can we add other spices, herbs, flavours like peppers, cumin, dried parsley? The beauty of baby-led weaning, from day one you can introduce spices. So, but be realistic about it. You don't want to give baby the hottest curry ever. But we introduced curry in the first week of both our kids, and spaghetti bolognese, but we just made sure it wasn't overly spicy. We wouldn't put chili as such in it, but we would put mild spices in it. So they got the gist of family foods from day one, which is our goal, is to start with what we continue to go on with. So if your family meal is once a week spaghetti bolognese, introduce it from week one, so baby gets used to it and they get used to all these different flavors and palates. So the old way of thinking was to separately introduce foods. So very traditional weaning was introduce, say, apples day one, bananas day two, vegetables day three. That does not, with baby-led weaning, that is completely void. It's about introducing family foods, spices, herbs from day one. Cinnamon is great. We used to do steamed apples because apples are a little bit too hard at 6 months old. So you could microwave steam them. I used to cut up apples in a bowl with a tiny bit of water, cinnamon with a plate over, put in the microwave for 30 seconds, and it would be really soft apple cinnamon, which is great for the whole family as well. So, like I said, spices from day one. Just make sure it's not overly spicy chili. You don't want your baby's eyes to start water. Okay, let me pick another question, then I've got other ones. My 10 months old, from Alana, my 10-month-old gags so easily. I gave her, is that couscous? And she threw up. I'm mostly still giving her mash and super slowly introducing finger foods, grated cheese. Does that sound okay? Okay. So gagging is very normal in introducing solids. Even with puree babies, spoon feeding, it happens the same. So the only difference is finger foods. From day one, they're picking up the food, where spoon feeding is putting spoon in the mouth. But baby will gag no matter what. It's funny because Ava was the biggest gagger. She gagged, I reckon, for a couple of months. So gagging is red, loud, coughing, like and sometimes it can be a little bit scary, but my tip is, I've learned over the years, sit on your hands, parents, like sit on it. Don't try and intervene when they're gagging because they will figure it out. They're very clever. Choking, on the other hand, is a different story. So I'd recommend to do a first aid course in the unlikely incident of choking. Touch wood, we've never experienced choking in our whole baby-led weaning, and we introduced family foods and solids from day one. There's actually no statistics that says that baby-led weaning has more choking incidents. It doesn't. They actually do say, my lovely nutritionist Beth, she even says that baby-led weaning actually prevents choking because baby's learning about textures from day one, which I find really interesting because it's just, I found that really resonating because they're learning about chewing their food from day one and learning how to move food around with their tongue from day one. Where spoon feeding, on the other hand, is suck, swallow, then they have to learn how to chew. So eventually all babies have to learn how to chew and eat, but it's the method and the way you introduce it. So gagging is normal. Also, like I was saying before, Ava was a big gagger. She would actually sometimes vomit and and that would be a little bit scary, but she always handled her gag. So it would always come up, I would leave her to it. I personally would only intervene if there was a choking incident, which can be identified as baby going silent and blue, which we've never experienced. And what calmed me down was doing a first aid course, just in case, just to keep your mind conscious of what to do in an unlikely incident. So what I'll do with a 10-month-old who's gagging, I'll just keep pushing through it. If you are really concerned, you can go speak to someone, a doctor, about it. But eventually they get over it, they're learning about textures, and they have an amazing gag reflex, which helps them protect them from choking. But still, you're saying, Alana, that you're still giving her mash and introducing finger foods. That's fine. Just keep introducing finger foods. The more you introduce, the more practice your daughter is going to be, and it's like learning to ride a bike. The more practice they get at eating, the more they'll start to swallow the food and learn about food textures in their mouth. So it sounds like you're on the right track. I would introduce fruits, soft vegetables, muffins, fritters. My website has so many free recipes. Check them out. And babyledweaningideas.com. Excellent. Okay, I'll just answer this other question I had on my list. From Chelsea, my almost 8-month-old doesn't like to swallow her food. She pockets them, which we call chickmunk cheeks. Even when she chews it fully, she frequently sips on water, and I only offer her one bite at a time. Doesn't seem to help. Any advice? Chelsea, 8 months old, is still really, really young. Baby's still learning how to chew and move food around their mouth. Give it time and patience. My two, Ava and Lewis, didn't start to swallow more food till about 10 months old. So put it in perspective. Let baby to chew. If baby does have chickmunk cheeks, that's fine. She's learning how to move food around her mouth. Just leave her to it. Don't get any fingers and scoop in there, because that could actually push food down and could potentially cause a choking incident, which we don't want. So she will gag if the food isn't suited, and just let her play around the squeezed food. Like I said, it's like learning how to crawl or talk. It takes time and practice. Offer age-appropriate foods, and remember, Chelsea, that breast milk or bottle is the primary nutrition in the first year of life. Age-appropriate foods. So let me just show you one of my charts. This is in my 4-week starter meal plan I have. So it's for pretty much any babies between 6 and 12 months. Even we use the recipes, so 12 months old plus. This is an example of how to serve foods from 6 to 8 months old. As you can see, a good indicator is get your pinky if you're unsure, and cut the size of the soft foods and cut the size of your adult pinky. So they're fruits from 6 to 8 months old. At 6 to 8 months old, baby is still learning to pick up foods. And as you could tell, have a look at your baby's hand when they're next. But if you have a baby between 6 to 8 months old, they use their hands, like their fists. They pick up foods with their fists. They have not learnt their pincer grip yet, so don't offer too much, like too little small foods, because they will get frustrated. They won't want to sit in their high chair because they won't be able to pick up the food. So that's why we offer nice long sticks from 6 to 8 months old. 8 months old to 12 months old. This is also in my 4-week meal starter plan. It's just called the pincer grip. So 8 months old, you can start to introduce, offer both long and small, because your baby's starting to practice their pincer grip. Parents get excited at this stage because they mentally think that smaller foods are better for them because they can try and pick them up. Even like little rices, like stuff like that, it's so good to use their pincer grip. So that's age-appropriate foods from 8 to 12 months old. 12 months plus, you can offer whatever you want, a whole muffin, stuff like that. But I hope that answers your question. Always offer water in an open cup if you want, from 6 months old, and preloaded spoons and forks. This is a Sleep Tight Babies Australia cutlery. I always say, start with what you mean to go on with. What that means is start with stainless steel cutlery from 6 months old. I try and avoid plastic. I know these have a bit of plastic on the end, but plastic cutlery, these are just easier to pick up, and they start to learn the stabbing motions. The knife, a bit later, probably 15 months old, you can start to use this, or when you think your baby's capable of using a knife. Excellent. I hope that answers your question. Sorry, there's so many questions here. I'm going to just scroll through a few. Okay, Nadia, any tips on how to approach baby's daycare about baby-led weaning when they provide the food? Okay, so I freaked out when Ava had to start nursery at 12 months, and I know that's quite an old baby-led weaner, but I was a little bit anxious about, oh no, are they going to spoon feed her, and I don't want that, and what do I do? Luckily, in my case, I could pack her a lunchbox and take in. I preferred that because I would know what she would eat, and they would leave the leftovers so I could see how much she'd eat. But if your daycare doesn't let you provide your own food and they provide their food, let them know before you go in. I actually chose a daycare based on how they feed. I know some things are important to parents, but food is a huge part of like what I think is in like a daycare. So I went around, and what I felt comfortable was we found a daycare that was really good, and they respected baby-led weaning. Firstly, they knew what baby-led weaning was, which was amazing. And I would also bring in the Jill Rapley baby-led weaning book. I would give it to them. They love being educated as well. Us parents are helping them educate. So daycares now in Australia, and it depends where you live, they know what baby-led weaning is. If they don't, educate them, sit down with them. I spoke to Ava's her supervisor, before we started, I said food is a huge part. I actually sat down and had lunch with Ava before we started at that daycare to show how she eats. Staying complete, and I would say that please do not intervene if, do not spoon feed, and just make that clear. I know us parents worry about everything, but this was a huge thing and a passionate thing of mine, and it sounds like of you as well. So just make sure they understand what baby-led weaning is. If not, educate them, help them, sit down with them, explain when they're sitting in the high chair, go have lunch with them, and that's what a good daycare is. They let you come in and they will address all your concerns. So sit with them, explain. So Ava would sit there in the high chair and they would be absolutely amazed at how well she could eat, how well she could pick up her food. And it's easier for them. They don't have to sit there and spoon feed, one of their babies at daycare. All they had to do was sit there and monitor and, so that's what I would do. Go sit there, educate, address your concerns, because you have the right. You're paying for them to go to daycare there, so you should be happy with that. I hope that answers your question. Okay. I've got one from Bella Bennett. How do you have family time eating together when baby at 6 months old has milk at 5:30 and then goes to bed at 6 to 6:30? 6 months old is a little bit tricky to have family meals. We personally didn't start with family sitting as a family from day one because, like you said, time difference. I would wait for husband to get home and we would eat later. But I would also sit with baby at 6 months old. Remember, they're still learning a lot, like play. It's mostly play. They might nibble on a little bit here and there. Milk is primary nutrition. I would sit with baby and sort of pretend I'm having a meal with them as well. Maybe go just have a little snack while they eat as well. So they feel comfortable that we're eating together as a sort of a family as well, being there to support them. Make it a relaxed meal time, and so as they start to grow, their sleeps start to change, and eventually you'll merge into a family meal as one. You'll sit down and have. I found that breakfast and lunch was great, especially on the weekend. We would all sit and have breakfast. As long as you're having family meal time, a few times a week, that is a great start with sharing family meal times with baby-led weaning. So at any opportunity, try and sit with baby, especially at a table, so they get used to sitting at a table and sharing family meal times, because that's a huge benefit of baby-led weaning, and prevent fussy eating later on, because they watch everyone eating the same family foods. Okay, my second baby, Nikki, 10 months, eats everything. Thanks to your tips. Thank you. Oh, thank you. That's really sweet. When do you think I should start milk after food? So 10 months old. My second baby, 10 months, eats everything. Thanks for tips. When do you think I should start milk after food? I'm not sure your schedule, Nikki. So what we used to do was, it was more, I would breastfeed after their sleep and then give it a bit and then offer them food. But it depends on the sleeps, really. Just make sure that they've had their milk feed during the day. They're 10 months old. They're getting a little bit older, so their sleeps will start to spread out. I'm not sure if you're on 2 or 3 sleeps at 10 months. I think it's 3 sleeps. You just try and fit in food as you can do. I remember sometimes lunch would be at like 2 or even 3 p.m. in the afternoon. But so I would always offer milk after their sleep, but it just depends on sleep. So as soon as they wake up in the morning, they have a breast milk, and then about an hour later, they'll have breakfast. So try and space it out a little bit. Melissa, anything other than honey we should stay away from? So Melissa, actually in my 4-week meal plan, it's an ebook. I do have a list of foods you should avoid, but generally speaking, so allergy foods introduced from day one. If you don't have any allergy history in the family. So you can introduce allergy foods from day one. But foods to actually avoid are choking hazards, which I have a list of choking hazards in my ebook. Somewhere in there. But yeah, so I've got a list of choking hazards in my ebook. Avoid salt in the first year of life. On my website, I have a link about salt and babies because it's not good for their kidneys. So avoid adding salt in meals like stock cubes, stuff like that. From 12 months old, you can start to add low sodium stock cubes and make your own stocks, stuff like that, because salt is not good for kidneys under 12 months old. And then I think it's from 12 months old you can start off that they can have like a pinch of salt a day. But remember, that's total salt. Natural foods have salt in it. Fruits, vegetables, meat, stuff like that, they do have natural salt in it. So salt is a big thing. Try not to add in any food. What we try to do, everyone does it differently. I avoid mostly lots of processed foods. I know there's so much processed foods out there on the shelves. So you go to the baby aisle and there's, packet of chips, crisps they call it here in England, but chips in the aisle from 6 months old. They are for a time and a place. Use them sporadically, but I personally would not use them every day because it's like carrot powder they use. I know it says carrot, but it's not teaching baby about textures. Like if you cook a roasted carrot, it's not the same as the chips. So use them time and a place in desperate measures if you're out and you just absolutely have no access to food and that's all there is. But we want to start to introduce family foods from day one. Anything else you should avoid? Can't think of anything else. Like I said, allergy foods, if you have a family history, avoid. Sugar is another thing, and also preservatives. So Bella Bennett, how do you deal with a mother-in-law that rolls her eyes about baby-led weaning approach? She's very old school and doesn't understand why. I know how you feel about that, and especially family and friends can be real critics sometime. And yes, it's about all parenting thing, especially about food. Everyone is so personal about food. It depends how old baby is. If they're just started baby-led weaning, I would just make sure that baby has mealtime at home. Don't have mother-in-law around. Don't, I know that sounds really silly, but you want your baby to be in a calm environment. You don't want mother-in-law rolling their eyes and going, making comments like baby shouldn't be eating that and making these nasty comments, because it's going to make you as a mum really anxious. And I've been around people like that. It makes you anxious, and that is so important. You cannot be anxious. You need to be in a calm environment because baby picks up these emotions and they feel like something's wrong. So if baby is like really young, 6 to 10 months old, I would still just offer mealtime at home or try and do it when she's not there. It does take a while. My parents took a while to understand baby-led weaning. Respect also that they're coming from a good place as well. I'm not trying to stand up, but it's just they did it differently to us. They did spoon feeding. Traditional weaning is spoon feeding and finger foods. Educate them. Say times have changed as well. There's lots of studies out there that shows that babies from 6 months old are capable of picking up their own food and control. And explain to them, this is how we do it, and I really would like you to respect how we are introducing solids. I need you to be on board with me, and I'd really respect that. So sit down with them and address your concerns. That's what I personally would do, and I did that with my parents, and they did respect it. On the odd occasion, and still now, my dad might put a spoon in and I'm fuming. I do fume about it, but I don't say anything then. I just pull Dad aside and just say, listen, Dad, like I said, Lewis can control his own food. It's for safety as well. I don't want him to choke, and he can decide what he wants to eat. We're doing it like this. Please respect our decision. So you just got, sometimes you, especially with Christmas coming up, this is a huge one. A lot of parents now again are really anxious because family meal times are coming up and you're going to have all eyes. And for some reason, I don't know, family love to understand and they love to get in everyone's business, and they see that you're doing something different. Explain to them, yes, Mum, Dad, I'm trying something really different here. I'd really like you to be on board. And show them some studies, get them to read the Baby-Led Weaning book if they do, doubt it, but just a few things here and there, and just say that this is how we're doing it. Show them how you prepare vegetables, how they're nice and soft, they've got a gag reflex, and everything's going to be fine. And yeah, send them to, if they're on Instagram or Facebook, tag them in some posts here and there, but you've just got to pull them aside about it if it starts to become an issue. All the best with that. Okay, my intricate life. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. How do you get past that feeling of wanting to control how much they eat and making sure they actually eat something? I always wanted my son to eat a decent amount to help him sleep through the night. Great question. Us as parents, we want our babies to be fulfilled. We want them to have good nutrition. We have this vision of them eating a full plate of food. There's a lot of dietitians on Instagram, and there's a lot of dietitians out there that say, they should be having a bit of protein, iron, omega-3, all these things that we have to make sure that they eat in a day. But really, yes, it is great that they will get in, but offering a few pieces here and there of food and making sure they stay in control. And really, at the end of a meal, I'll have to do a post on this, at the end of a meal, if they've had a bit of broccoli, a bite of bit of meat or protein, it's about letting them decide how much their body eats and everything. In the first year of life, breast milk or bottle is number one nutrition, but just all you can do is offer a variety of healthy foods and make sure that baby gets food through that way. It's hard. I know you want to control. Also, there are studies that are done out there about sleep and food, and they do say that sleep is not associated to food. So trying to fill up your baby before they go to bed, that's not going to do the trick. Sleeping through the night is all linked to a developmental stage they go through. So as long as they're having their breast milk or bottle, like I said, in the first year of life, offering family finger foods alongside that with baby-led weaning, eventually they'll start to eat more and the breast milk or bottle will start to go down. And it is hard. We all want that control. We want them to eat, so much so they're full for some reason. But this is old way of thinking. We want our babies to be chunky. That's what our grandmas used to say, big and healthy. But that's also an old way of thinking. We just want them to, every baby is different. They will eat differently and different quantities. We're just going to make sure we offer variety and healthy options for them. Hope that helps. Okay, I'll answer a couple more. There's my sister. We set Kobe's 9 months and we just educated them on it. Yeah, that's at daycare. Well done, Sarah. I don't have any questions. I've passed that stage now, but I still follow you for your easy, yummy recipes and helpful tips and entertaining activities you have with your kids. Oh, thank you. You're so lovely. Rachel, in the ebook looks amazing and so promising. What are you sharing is simply life-saving for so many parents. It's so nice to hear that. Wishing you all the best and success you have. So I am going to, hi from Hong Kong. I've just got a couple more questions if anyone still wants to stay online, because they're really interesting questions, simple ones. From Stephanie, is pulse pasta okay at 8 months old? So when you say pulse pasta, you're talking about lentil pasta, chickpea pasta. Yeah, we love that. So we've been introducing it from 6 months old. It's got lots more iron. It's got lots of protein in it. It's a great way to introduce beans. Yeah, you can introduce it from 6 months old. There's no reason why you can't. I offer both normal pasta, durum wheat pasta, and chickpea pasta, lentil pasta. My kids absolutely love it. Yeah, perfect. Okay, I'm going to answer 2 more questions. Leah Parrott. She Instagrammed me saying, I've got a 12-month regression. She used to eat 90% of what I gave her. Now she's picky. That dreaded picky word. Can we all say that we will not say picky or fussy about our kids? They pick up on it, and especially for the other parents and kids, we don't want to be using these negative sort of words. When I say negative, I suppose it's creating, it's law of attraction. You're going to create a picky eater if you start using words like this. But 12 months, I know you're really concerned, Leah, about your baby, but 12 months old, this is very normal. There's a 12-month regression, which both my kids went through. I've spoken to so many parents, and they went through as well. Babies' behaviours change as they approach their first birthday, such as throwing, dunking, and rejecting food. So don't think they're doing it to annoy you as a parent. You need to take a more respectful, calmful approach to this. And I suppose it's about respectful eating and understanding why baby is throwing the food. 12 months old, are they telling you, I've eaten enough, thanks mum, I want some food but not this food? So try and understand what they're saying. I don't want to eat now, there's something else I'd rather be doing. In that case, pick them up from the high chair, get them down from the high chair. Don't keep on picking up the food if they keep throwing it. That's another tip. Or offering it. The way they were when they were younger in experimenting at 12 months, they're different now. Your older baby is trying to tell you something, and from his point of view, you're not listening as a parent. This can quickly lead to overwhelming frustration, tantrums, etc. Accept what your baby is trying to tell you, move on to the next course or the end of the meal, pick up the dropped food, and a tip that I always tried was put it on the side of your plate as a parent. Put it on the side of your plate. Let baby know that it will be there if they want it. So your baby can see it. And if they ask for it back, she or he could take it back. Okay, another thing is from 12 months old, dunking food into cups. Why do babies do this? Because they're experimenting different shapes and sizes. It's like throwing food. They're learning about gravity. If you throw something, it will fall. All these simple things that us parents take for granted. They're learning. It's important that they put food in cups. I know it drives us mental, doesn't it? That they're putting food in cups. Let them do it here and there. They're learning about size and shapes. It's no different from picking up a toy and putting it in a triangle toy hole. So if it really annoys you, this experiment this stage will pass. So just stay calm about it. If it really annoys you, you could gently intercept with your baby's hand on its way into the cup. Say something like, "Not in there, Tommy. You can give it to me, please." So sort of teach them in a way, guide them. Like rather than saying, "No, Tommy, don't put that in the cup." Guide them to say, "Not in there, Tommy. Can you please give me the food?" So eventually they will learn, and so all of these aim to stay calm, focus on showing and guiding, not scolding, not punishing your baby. They're learning, try and think from their perspective. It's like when babies have a tantrum. We get so anxious about it and we yell, and I've been there, I've done that. We've got to just be calm and just sit there and listen and just take it all in. Another thing is turning down finger foods and wanting them in smaller pieces because they want to start practicing their pincer grip. Your baby's growing, learning new skills, just like walking and talking. Give them practice. They want to copy others, they want to copy you. Make mealtime slower, especially if they're practicing using cutlery, like the Doddle cutlery. Like I said, sleep-type babies have this cutlery on sale, 10% off on their website. I'm going to put the code in my next post after the live. They want to copy, so give them patience. Don't be surprised if they start to revert back to more babyish way. They could be tired, they could be, you know, poorly. Yeah, you just got to run with it. There's stages, the dunking of food, the throwing of the food, the squeezing of food, it's a phase, especially at 12 months. It's a massive regression. Hang in there. You're going to get plenty of these. Understand what baby's trying to communicate to you. A couple more questions. Ella, did you introduce water at 6 months? Yes, so every meal from 6 months old, offer water in a cup. A little shot glass is great, open cup. Guide them, help them lift it up to begin with, let them control as well, and eventually they'll learn. Open cup's great because it doesn't disturb their teeth. Also straws are good, we never use them, but pediatric dietitians say you can use straws because it doesn't hurt their teeth, but we always just used an open cup from 6 months old. May, what if my baby can't sit by himself when he's 6 months old? Can I still do baby-led weaning, or do I need to give him purees? May, you can, 6 months old, so the guidelines do say around 6 months old, you can start baby-led weaning with the readiness signs. So in my lovely ebook that I have, I've got the readiness signs in there, but they are sitting up with little or no assistance. So little, if your baby isn't sitting up but they have a strong neck hold, you can still start baby-led weaning, but make sure to maybe roll a couple of towels, one this side, and their hips are well supported. Or if you want, May, you can just wait a couple more weeks. There's no rush in starting solids. You don't have to start purees now. There's no point in starting purees. 6 months old, they're really capable of starting baby-led weaning if they're showing their readiness signs. Strong neck hold and can sit up with little or no assistance. The biggest indicator is if they can pick up food and put it in their mouth. So pretend this is a piece of soft apple which has been steamed. If they can pick it up and aim for their mouth, they're ready to start baby-led weaning. That's Jill Rackley's #1 readiness sign. So I hope that helps. Thanks guys so much. I hope I answered enough questions. Like I said, Sleep Tight Babies Australia is offering 10% off these lovely suction plates which we've used throughout baby-led weaning. This is the mini. This is the main one for the IKEA high chair tray. They also stick on other high chair trays. The Doddle cutlery, stainless steel, which I recommend because start with what you continue going with. And they also have this lovely long sleeve bib, which, you know what, it gets so messy, doesn't it? I will put up a post after this with the 10% discount code if anyone's interested in buying from Sleep Tight Babies Australia. It is open for Australia wide, so 10% off all their mealtime range. It's an Christmas promotion at the moment. The 10% code is BLWI Xmas, and that's Sleep Tight Babies Australia. And yeah, Michelle from there is brilliant. If you have any questions, please DM me. But thanks so much. I hope it really helped you today, and I've really enjoyed answering all your questions. And have an awesome day, guys. Bye. Take it easy.